Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for making time for Citizen at 1. My name is Willis Raburu. As a reminder that you can also catch us on www.citizentv.co.ke/live. That is where you can catch us streaming live right now. Our top story this hour. A stakeholders meeting is currently underway at the Ministry of Education headquarters to discuss the delicate subject of reviewing the school calendar after the teacher strike ate up 4 weeks of school time. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi is chairing the meeting, attended by 47 county directors of education, members of the civil society, the private sector, parents and teachers association, teachers unions, and also members from the religious community. The meeting is weighing options available to ensure that children in public schools complete their syllabuses in good time like their peers in private schools ahead of the national examinations. Some of the options may include adding 4 weeks into the school calendar to make up for the lost time, or squeezing the August holiday to create time without altering the exam calendar. However, some stakeholders argue that children will be fatigued and will be under immense pressure if learning continues non-stop all the way to the exam period, thereby affecting performance negatively. The Cabinet Secretary will give a communique on the resolution of the stakeholders meeting later on today.
Among the leading higher institutions in the continent that provide quality education and training.
All universities make sure that the rules and regulations governing the conduct of postgraduate studies are observed to the letter. And those who are not going to comply will take appropriate disciplinary action.
All right, campaigns for the Makueni senatorial race went a notch higher today, with candidates crisscrossing the vast county to win over voters. And a day after its rally was cancelled at the last minute due to chaos by rowdy youths, the Jubilee Alliance resorted to using choppers to campaign for its candidate, Professor Philip Kaloki. Kanago Obadia is on the ground and now tells us more. Kanago, if you can hear me, yesterday the rally was disrupted in Wote. What is the new campaign strategy? What is happening on the ground?
Good afternoon to you, Willis. Indeed, what happened yesterday in Wote was seen as a setback to the Jubilee's campaign in Makueni County, with many people wondering whether they will be able to conduct rallies or will be able to campaign fairly against their opponents in the Court Coalition. And what they have done today is kind of re-strategizing their campaign. And today, we've been able to see Jubilee members of the Senate being led by the leader of majority in the Senate, Kithure Kindiki, and Kipchumba Murkomen, joining the campaign trail. And we also have another team that has moved to the areas of Kibwezi and Makindu. Right now, we are right now in a rally at a place called Mukuyu in Kaiti constituency. This is the upper side of Makueni County. And here we will be joined shortly by Kaloki himself, who will be coming in with other Jubilee leaders. They will be moving, they're moving around with about 3 choppers, moving to different small centers and speaking to people and trying to convince them that it is good to work with the government. That is the platform of their campaign, and they are also telling the residents that there is no need of trying to divide the Kamba people and trying to tell Kamba people it is good to work with other communities, because the slogan here is Ukambani for Mutula Kilonzo Jr. That is what the court side is moving around with. But what Jubilee is coming in with saying we will have to work with the government and we have to work with other tribes as well. So that is what is happening as far as Jubilee campaigns are concerned. We also have the court side hitting the campaign trail in different parts. We've been told that they are also going to the lower region of Ukambani, and later on they'll have a big rally at a place called Katonzweni in Makueni constituency. Willis Raburu.
Thank you very much, Kanago Obadia. So viewers from Wote to Mukwirio to Kathonzweni, Kanago Obadia will be covering it for you. Citizen TV will bring it for you in our subsequent bulletins, so you want to keep it here to find out the latest in the Makueni by-elections. Let's move on. And the push for more funding for the devolved government continues, with senators now asking the national government to increase budgetary allocation to allow county governments to provide the devolved services. Speaking during her homecoming party, nominated Senator Kemunto Nyakeriega, who is representing the disabled in the Senate, urged the two houses of Parliament to end the persistent standoff and instead come up with a workable formula to resolve teething problems. Nyakeriega also used the opportunity to thank the Jubilee government for appointing her to the Senate and pledged to work diligently to serve the country.
Tunaendelea kutengeneza sheria ambayo itawasaidia walemavu haswa kabisa, tukiangalia kama kwa upande wa walemavu watasoma kwa njia gani, wale ambao hawajapata masomo, kisha wale ambao wako manyumbani, kuna wazazi wengine hawajui mahali pa kuwapeleka, wanafaa kuwapeleka wapi, na ili nao pia waweze kufanya kazi kama wale wengine na kisha kujisaidia kwa siku zijazo.
Right now, and the Bungoma County Governor Ken Lusaka has immediately stopped the salaries of workers who skipped a recent head count of workers in the 5 local authorities in the county last month. The county has been reportedly losing money by paying salaries to ghost workers. The move is aimed at reducing the high wage bill, which may cause the county to use all the money they receive from the national government to pay salaries. Some of the workers do not have educational qualifications for the jobs they hold, and the Public Service Board is yet to implement the audit for all public servants in the county.
Those who never presented themselves for the audit, I have ordered that their salaries be stopped immediately. We also discovered that there were people who are being paid allowances that don't exist. In acting capacity, they're acting in positions that don't exist. They're also getting what you call non-professional allowances that are supposed to be paid to specialized people, and they are not. We have also said that further investigations be instituted to establish who authorized the payment of this.
The Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board has started hearing 3 cases of negligence allegedly committed by medical practitioners in 3 hospitals. The chairman of the board's tribunal, Professor George Magoha, said the board would be fair in its hearings against the alleged offenders. The complaints against the practitioners were brought by members of the public. Now, some of those to be probed include Bartitlol Kigen and Gerald Moniz of Nairobi Hospital.
I am advised by our legal team that the concerned respondents have retained counsels. While this is appreciated as their constitutional right, it is my desire that the concerned counsels will assist the board in reaching the overriding objective and giving justice to all parties.
Now we continue our focus on road carnage here on Citizen Television, and of the 3,141 road accidents fatalities in 2012, 306 of these were victims of accidents involving motorcycles, a mode of transport that has over the years gained popularity across the country. However, motorcycles, or border borders as they are popularly known, have become a leading cause of accidents on our roads. So dire is the situation that some hospitals across the country have dedicated specific wards to motorcycle accident victims. Esther Kahumbi has more on this.
They have become the preferred mode of transport for many, able to access even the most remote of places. Today, border operators were in the central business district, halting their operations to protest what they say is a continued harassment by both county government officials and police officers.
City Council tumewauliza kwa nini mnatukamata? Wanasema tunataka muondoke, nyinyi wote mtoke kwa town. Mtoke kwa town. Tunauliza tuende wapi? Wanasema tuende mahali tulitoka. Kwa hivyo mahali ambapo tulitoka, kama hizi pikipiki zinatoka China, hizi pikipiki zinatoka India, hizi pikipiki zinatoka wapi, tunaomba basi zirudishwe zote huko.
But the main bone of contention remains the traffic police ban on border borders from operating during the night. Their hours of operation now limited to between 6 a.m. and not later than 6 p.m.
They want a 24-hour economy. You cannot have a 24-hour economy ambayo watu wanaambiwa wafanye 12 hours.
The rioting riders were later forced out of the streets by council askaris keen to maintain order in the CBD. Yet even as they rioted, at the Kenyatta National Hospital, a different kind of movement. Another accident victim wheeled into the already congested wards. 3 adult wards are dedicated to accident victims, each with a bed capacity of 32. But at the moment, each is hosting 120 patients. Kenyatta National Hospital remains one of the first reference points in any road accident. This hospital receives an average of 300 victims every month. This month alone, 39 of those victims have been motorcycle accident victims. Victims of a mode of transport considered easy and fast, but one that has become a death trap for many.
Niliumia jisho, mdomo na uti wa mgongo. Nilifanya niingie kufanyiwa scan ya X-ray.
He has been here for 3 days now. He was brought in from Nanyuki town where he was hit by a boda. For the 3 days, his family has not been able to visit him, agony that he shares with his next bed neighbor, 19-year-old Daniel. He has been here longer though, a month since he was brought in with fractures on his left leg. He was on his way home on a boda when the accident occurred.
Haikuwa bia sana. Lakini ndio wakati tulikia kwa kona ndio tukakutana na hiyo gari.
Interestingly, in both cases, the riders only sustained minor injuries, were treated and are already back on the road. The government has been insisting on helmets for both the rider and his passenger, but that is rarely the case. In 2012, 306 people died from motorcycle accidents. 7 months into the year, 164 have perished. These accidents largely attributed to the large number of untrained operators, most obviously operating without licenses. Their training grounds remain open fields where training sometimes takes less than an hour for the rider to be declared ready for the job.
Ningeomba tu serikali ingilie kati iweze kurudisha hata na kama hizo sheria za michuki zitu kwa barabara, angalau uweze kusave maisha ya watu. Juu kwa hizo wiki mbili nimekaa hapo, watu wameweza kuingishwa hapa kila wakati, watu wengi na ni wengi wao si wagonjwa, ni ajali ndio mingi. Sasa hata nikitoka hapa sasa hata sitaweza kutembea vile nilikuwa natafutia watoto wangu, hata sijui sasa tutaishi aje.
An easy and cheap mode of transport introduced to ease transportation woes for the masses, now killing people just as easily.
All right, let's move on to other stories. Thank you, Esther, though, for that story. Now, Nairobi Senator Mike Gideon Mbuvi Sonko has written to President Uhuru Kenyatta seeking to have the ongoing demolition of houses in Nairobi's Langata area stopped. In a letter to the president, Sonko, who is also the deputy chief whip of the Senate, warned that the demolitions were giving the Jubilee administration a bad name, as they even targeted some homes that were up to 5 kilometers away from the bypass. Linda Uma has that story.
Following the demolitions of houses constructed on road reserves along the southern bypass over the weekend, the owners, who insist they were not served with any notice prior to the demolition, have sought the assistance of Nairobi Senator Mike Mbuvi. The senator has since written to President Kenyatta. His letter, dated the 22nd of July, states that some of the homes that have been flattened were up to 5 kilometers away.
It was received, that's why it's stamped, and I'm happy, and I think they are going to be compensated.
The senator alleged that the Cabinet Secretary of Transport and Infrastructure, Michael Kamau, had broken the law by demolishing property without issuing a notice.
What has been demonstrated is totally wrong. It's very illegal. It's contrary to Article 40, sub-Article 4 of our Constitution.
Senator Mbuvi urged the government to halt the continued demolitions of houses in Langata Estate. The owners maintain that their parcel of land does not encroach on the southern bypass. The bypass, a dual-carriage highway which will cost 17.5 billion shillings, will connect Mombasa Road to the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway through Kikuyu Town once completed. Linda Oma reporting for Citizen at 1.
Now, over 20 members of parliament have vowed to petition the government to protect Mira farming The members of parliament who spoke after visiting Mira farmers from the larger Mira region said Nakada should review its position of categorizing Mira as a drug. The members of parliament, led by the chairperson of a parliamentary select committee, Florence Kajuju, said they would move to ensure that Mira farming is not hurt, as many families rely on the crop for their livelihood. The meeting between members of parliament and Mira farmers comes amid the ban of the Mira by the United Kingdom and the Netherlands.
What you do is just you can go to the committee meeting and then the
ile kundi inaitwa Nakanda ndio walianza vita ya kupigana na Mira, na hawa ndio wanapeana license ya kuuza pombe na wanapata pesa kutoka hapo. Kutoka leo mimi nimefunga hiyo, Nakanda watapeana license hapa Meru tena.
Kwa hivyo nimekuja mahali hapa nikiwa moja ya wale wanakuja kuchukua ushahidi wa Mira ile pale kwetu pia tuweze tupande Mira na pia tufaidike, sivyo?
Of course, that story there brings us to our interactive segment where we want to find your views about this said Mira drug. So we are asking you, should Mira be classified as a drug? Should Mira be classified as a drug? The Parliamentary Select Committee was there and says that Nakada, that actually classified Mira as a drug, should review its policy. What do you think? Should Mira be classified as a drug? SMS your views to 22422, that number again, 22422 with a yes or no, and we'll be able to sample some of your views during and at the tail end of this comprehensive bulletin. And also remember, you can also go at Citizen TV News and at Citizen TV Kenya. Let's keep the conversation going. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is at this moment meeting with some members of parliament at Continental House. Francis Gashuri, our senior reporter, is there. He now joins us via phone. Francis, what is going on? What is the latest? What is the discourse that is at Continental House?
Thank you and good afternoon, Willis Raburu, or should I say Willis Wayne Raburu. The committee, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Justice and Administration of on Legal and Administration of Justice has just concluded its sitting with the members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. And you remember the IEBC commissioners, led by their chairman Isaac Hassan, had been summoned to come and clarify on a number of issues relating to the results, the final results that they released on Thursday last week. However, it was an anticlimax, as you would call it, Raburu, because the session has been adjourned even before the commissioners could answer questions on the contents of the report, because the chairman of the committee, Samuel Chepkonga, is saying that members of the committee should be given more time to go through the report, the final results report that was tabled by IEBC, so that they can generate questions to probe the commission in a sitting that will be scheduled sometime next week. But of course, there were traces of politics, the CORD Jubilee politics within the committee, because some members of the CORD team were insisting that they were ready with questions that they wanted to pose to the commissioners, whereas their Jubilee counterparts were insisting that they needed more time to study the report. So the conclusion was that the sitting be adjourned so that all members can come with a list of questions that they want IEBC to respond to. Also, for the committee to prepare the questions and the specific issues that they will want the commission to respond to. So basically, that is what has transpired. And of course, you remember, Raburu, last week, IEBC chairman Isaac Hassan declined to take an oath as he tabled the report. But today he has clarified that he did not actually refuse to take an oath, but was insisting that as a Muslim who is fasting during this holy month of Ramadan, he had a higher calling and would not obviously have lied even if he did not take an oath. So he has clarified that he didn't refuse to take an oath. So for now, it's to wait for the committee to formulate questions that they will want the commission to respond to next week, and probably that's when fireworks will likely happen during the probe of the IEB final results. And finally, Raburu, the results that will be used or that the commission has tabled will be the basis for the sharing of the political parties fund. Remember, the political parties law entails that any political party that did not get at least 5% of the votes cast during the March 4th general election will not benefit from the political parties fund. And so proportionally, the more votes a party got during the general election, the more they will draw from the political parties fund. Saburu?
Just one question to you, Francis. Now, this is not the first time that this has happened. Rather, it seems that every time the IEBC goes before a committee, of course, like you mentioned there, the last time there was the whole issue about swearing in. This time it's been adjourned without the questions being asked. There seems to be a sort of failure to launch for these things. What is the way forward? Has there been talk around what is the way forward, or are we resigned to a wait-and-see scenario?
The issue, Raburu, is that last week the sitting was occasioned by a question that was raised on the floor of the House by Dr. Chris Wamalwa, the MP for Kiminini. And the question was that the IEBC had not yet released the final results of the March 4th general election, and hence the political parties fund could not be shared. So what happened on Thursday, when the members of the IEBC, after the chairman declined to take an oath, left the committee, they later on that day published the final results. And so it's like the question that Dr. Chris Omalo had asked had been overtaken by events. And so what the committee now wants to do is to probe the authenticity of the results that were tabled or were released by IEBC. And so the chairman is citing the standing orders in the House and the rules of procedure on committee matters, that the chairman and the commission cannot be asked to come and respond to questions that they have not been served with prior to the sitting. So what he's saying is that the members should go, read the report, identify the specific issues they want to raise with IEBC, then IEBC will be served formally to come and respond to those questions. And in case any other member has a supplementary question, they can ask it during the committee hearings. And that is likely to happen sometime next week, even though the date has not been identified for now. So the probe is still on. The only issue is that the date has not been specified, but it is likely to be sometime next week.
Thank you very much, Francis Gashuri, there bringing us the latest on a meeting between the IEBC and the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Thank you so much, Francis. Now, the West Pokot County government has partnered with the government of Japan to boost school infrastructure in Parua, South Pokot. The move has seen the county benefit a 12 million shillings donation from Japan to uplift education standards in the area.
The government of Japan, through its embassy, has injected 12 million shillings for the construction of classrooms and dormitories of schools in South Pokot. Speaking during the official launch of the project at Tarkong Primary, Simon Kalekem, the majority leader of West Pokot, praised Japan for the support and urged the Kenyan government to allocate more funds to the education sector, especially in arid areas.
Wahimiza wabunge waheshima wote, kila mtu alete structure moja moja kama vile nimeleta ya 12 million. So wabunge wakileta kila mtu moja moja, mimi nafikiri tutabadilisha hii nchi.
The ceremony brought together stakeholders in the education sector who laid down strategies of improving education standards across the country. Masharia Mwangi, Citizen at 1.
All right, let's reset now and go to one of the stories that we brought you earlier. And a stakeholders meeting is currently underway at the Ministry of Education headquarters to discuss the delicate subject of reviewing the school calendar after the teacher strike ate up 4 weeks of school time. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi is chairing the meeting, attended by 47 county directors of education, members of the civil society, the private sector, parents and teachers association, teachers unions, and also the religious community. The meeting is weighing options available to ensure that children in public schools complete their syllabuses in good time, like their peers in private schools ahead of the national exams. Some of the options may include adding 4 weeks into the school calendar to make up for the lost time, or squeezing the August holiday to create time without altering the exam calendar. However, some stakeholders argue that the children will be fatigued and will be under immense pressure if learning continues non-stop all the way to the exam period, thereby affecting performance negatively. The Cabinet Secretary will give a communique on the resolution of the stakeholders meeting later on today. All right, on our feedback question today, we were asking you, should Mira be classified as a drug? Should Mira be classified as a drug? You are to send your comments to 22422. We thank you so much for the feedback that we're getting so far. I'll just sample a few of them. Tom, you're watching from right here in Nairobi. You say that Mira has no side effects. I have used it for quite a while and I don't see any problem with it. Jerry, you are watching all the way from Mombasa. You say that Mira should be classified as a drug. Nakada is on the right. Let us live with this reality. And Brian, you are watching all the way from Eastern, you say. You didn't say which part of Eastern, but you say that I think Mira should not be classified as a drug. I have taken it ever since I was a child. So keep these comments coming in here on Citizen TV. We'll continue to sample some of them. And a reminder is that you can also continue this conversation online at Citizen TV News, at Citizen TV Kenya. We take a short break now. We'll be returning with more from the local scene, business, and of course, sports. Stay with Citizen at 1.